The Maruti Suzuki Baleno is Maruti Suzuki's premium hatchback. It's the largest hatchback they make in India, and it was launched in this avatar in 2015, and it's available in four trim levels with one engine and two gearbox options. All the details of this new updated Baleno is available on our website CarWale and cartrade.com. We have also driven the Baleno and the first ride reviews in our reviews section, and videos also available in the review. So do check that out if you want. You can check it out through this, and if you have questions, ping it to us right now.
Should I begin?
Let's begin. Uh, First, let's start with exterior design. So, if you look at the Baleno, it's essentially a new generation of the Baleno, right?
Right.
But and they've retained the silhouette of the Baleno. But what are the highlights in terms of exterior design for you?
So basically, guys, this is more like an evolution. It's not an all-new design. Like if you see the i20, the Elite i20, and the new generation i20, that's a whole different.
There's like a big difference.
So
right?
this one isn't a whole new generation, but nevertheless, it's got a lot of changes.
Yeah.
So design-wise, I think they've got the new headlight with the three pod LEDs. So that's going to be the new face now. They've got a new grille. You've got more lines running across, a sharper shoulder line, and new alloy wheels, of course. So basically, what Maruti wanted was to keep the whole Baleno feel intact, because consumers really loved the way the Baleno looked, and they didn't want to deviate too much from it. So that's what we have, a more evolution of a design rather than a whole new revolution.
What's the bit that caught your attention really? Front, back, anything?
I think the headlights look really good.
With the
Yes, the
three
headlights
pod LEDs,
and
right?
that grille, it looks really good.
So one of the things with the Baleno was that it was kind of plain Jane. I mean, it's a nice looking car and everything,
Right.
but it always felt a bit plain Jane with this pre-update model. Has it spruced it up now?
So I won't say it's really spruced it up or more jazzed up now rather, but it's still, like I said, it's a little better looking version of its predecessor. So yeah, it's still not as flashy as the i20 maybe, or as stylish as the i20, but it's better than before for sure.
But it's something that you're not going to miss because there are going to be so many of them, right?
That's true. That's true. It's going to sell for sure. So yeah.
I found those curved tail lamps a bit polarizing.
So those split tail lamps, yes, I mentioned in my review as well. They don't really fit well. They don't really gel well with the overall look. I think the previous tail lamps look better. But overall, on the front, on the sides, the new alloy wheels, the wing alloy wheels as they call it, all of it really comes out to highlight a good design. So it's all good.
And you guys got to see an accessorized Baleno also, right?
That's correct. That's correct. So I mean, Maruti is pretty known for their accessorization stuff, with side skirts and new graphics and stuff like that. And the Baleno was no different. It looked pretty good.
Any specific accessory that caught your attention?
I think the body kit really looked good, but then the small price to pay with all the potholes and the big speed breakers.
What do you mean by body kit?
The whole car with the body kit.
Acha, it's got like lower bumpers and stuff.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So there you have it, exterior design. If you have anything that you want to ask us on the exterior design, and you can ping us. Let's then move on to the interiors. Now, that is where Maruti Suzuki has spent a really large amount of its budget updating the Baleno, right? It's got dual tone interiors, a new touchscreen system,
Right.
an HUD,
Right.
I think an updated instrument cluster, right? And
Lot of things.
they've switched from that grey and grey and black design to blue and black.
There's
right?
a tinge of indigo in there. Yeah.
What are your highlights for the interiors? What did you find exciting? What could be better?
So when you talk in terms of cabin, right? So the cabin isn't really all new, right? So okay, just a minute, guys.
Sorry.
Small legal
Small.
error.
We'll just be back. We'll be back in 1 second. I think you'll be able to hear us, right? Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
Back. All right. So talking about cabin in general, the cabin isn't like a huge change. Seats are still not leather, and the cabin space remains the same. It's still as spacious, but yes, they've made quite a bit of changes when it comes to features and the dashboard itself, because you have to integrate that 9-inch screen. It's a huge screen.
It's a floating display
Yeah, so
right now.
fitting there means you have to make changes to the dashboard, so that dashboard looks very good. And then, like we saw in the Kia Carens, we couldn't understand why they had that blue part there. And similarly, Maruti's gone with that blue tinge, and just to, I think we need to touch the screen before it sleeps over it. Yeah. So they've gone with that blue tinge to give it that premium feel. So overall, that premiumness is there, but you do see quality lacking in the switches, in certain plastics, the way the mirror comes up and the windows go down and the mirrors come up. So it's still not very premium, but it does look good.
So one of the things I could see, and I know this is the case with things like the XL6 also, they share a lot of the switch gear, mirror controls, window switches, steering with lower spec models, right?
Right.
So you have, it feels like you're sitting the same in a Swift as you'd be sitting in a Baleno. So
Yes, that feel is still there.
is that, I won't use the term acceptable, is that something you think people can live with? Is that something you think people can live with?
I think it's been the bestseller in its segment. The Swift has been a bestseller in its segment, and what that shows us is that people don't find it really too bad. It's acceptable for sure. But considering the competition, I think they really need to up that game a little. And yes, it's not the best, but it's not too bad either.
What about the HUD? Is it gimmicky? Does it actually work?
So, like this, unlike the screen, that 9-inch screen, it really works according to Maruti Suzuki. Customers wanted information, as much information crammed in possible, so that infotainment screen, yeah, it's fantastic. But the HUD, of course, it's more gimmicky than an actual feature.
What do you feel can be improved on that?
The HUD? Well, there's not much to improve. I mean, it gives you all the information and it pops up very nicely. It's a very geeky kind of feature. So it's a good show-off thing that when you press the button, that screen coming up. But apart from that,
it folds out.
Yes, it folds out. So I think we only saw it in the Kia Seltos before.
Yeah.
So it comes out nicely. It gives you the RPM. It gives you fuel efficiency.
Okay.
And the only advantage that you can talk about is you don't really have to look into the instrument panel. It's not too far down. So it's basically a gimmick.
And is it just an instrument cluster, or does it show you navigation and media info?
No, it doesn't.
Just
the instrument.
And it has like a fuel gauge, or it's just speed and RPMs?
No, it does have a fuel gauge, and it shows you fuel information as well.
Okay, so it's so that you don't take your eyes off the road. Right?
That's right.
Now, one of the things that I noticed is that the Baleno doesn't have a armrest at the back.
Yes. So we had a few things missing with the Baleno. Let's talk about those now. I think, like you pointed out, the rear armrest, it's not there, but a bit of a positive there is the seat becomes a little cushy, because when you do have the armrest, the backrest is a little hard.
Usually a harder
Yes.
material, right?
So that is an advantage, but you still need an armrest when you have 4 people sitting. So that's missing. You don't get wireless charging. That's one important feature missing.
It's okay, and not even available as an accessory.
I think we'll have to check about the
But
accessory.
as a
But
standard fitment,
equipment, you don't.
okay.
And there's no sunroof. I think a lot of people demand for a sunroof. We've seen a lot of manufacturers incorporating it because of the demand, but not yet for the Baleno.
Those are actually two crucial features. One last question before we move on.
Yeah.
The seats split fold, or it's one big bench at the back?
It's one big bench at the back.
That's odd, yeah, because Maruti Suzuki.
No. I think the seats fold. That's correct. So 60-40 split.
Okay, because folding rear seat has been the USP for a while.
Right.
Okay. Let us move on. Okay, now something crucial: drive experience. Now the Baleno continues with the 1.2 liter engine, which it had before. There's no diesel anymore, so that's been there for quite a while. But this is a new engine, right? It's
That's the dual jet.
Dual jet PVT.
Yes.
What's it like? Is it that quintessential Baleno experience? Something new, peppier?
So horsepower wise, we know that it's not a huge difference between the old engine and this engine.
Okay.
But we love that engine in the Swift, and that same engine in the Baleno, it just works very well because naturally aspirated, it's got enough torque, it revs pretty cleanly. So we really flog the engine. It's a delight when you know really want to drive it hard, and at the same time it's got the fuel efficiency as well. So it's a pretty good engine.
What about traffic drivability? You get a chance to experience any of that?
We didn't really drive it too much in traffic, but I don't think there should be an issue because, like I said, in-gear acceleration, torque, it's excellent. I mean, that's what Maruti's fortes are. I mean, they make really good engines. And you own a Swift and you know that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So essentially, where it matters here. So I would guess that the home of the Baleno is going to be in heavy traffic, right? So
Right.
you're saying that people won't be lacking. You're not going to be
Absolutely
struggling,
not.
pressing
Absolutely
hard,
not.
that kind of
Absolutely
thing,
not.
right?
Yeah.
They've switched from a CVT to an AMT for cost reasons. Possibly one of the things is cost reasons, and also the AMT is now kind of standardized across the range.
Right.
So, what's the AMT like? Have you driven the CVT?
Yes, I did. I have driven the CVT when the original Baleno was launched. Now, the thing was, a lot of people considered this as a downgrade from the CVT. But I think Maruti knows what the consumers want.
Okay.
And in the interest of better fuel economy, they had to switch to AMT. I think that's this thing. So, yeah, so in the interest of better fuel economy, they had to switch to AMT. And from what we've driven, from what we've seen, this is the best iteration of the AGS in Maruti Suzuki.
Okay.
It really works well, it's seamless, head nod is very minimal. Of course, I mean, it's not as quick as any of your DSGs or torque converters, but it's something that's manageable. So it's tuned really well, and I think they've done a good job with the AGS.
And you again, you don't feel like a lacking in punch and things like that?
Not really. I mean, should you want more power or should you want immediate acceleration, all you need to do is switch it to manual and you get the power when you need it.
What about ride quality, handling, that kind of thing? Baleno was a little bit on the softer side,
Right.
oriented at comfort.
So I guess the last generation Baleno, it really had a problem with suspension. It was really stiff in a lot of places and was soft in other wrong places. But Maruti's completely revised the suspension. They've got new torsion bar at the back, and that's improved ride quality by a huge margin. So it's a lot more comfortable. It's got more ground clearance now. The suspension travel is more. So you get long travel suspension going over bumps and stuff. It's a lot more pushy. So yes, suspension wise, it's a whole lot better as compared to the earlier.
What about handling?
So on the handling front as well, they've made a few changes. On the chassis front, torsional rigidity has been increased, and they've made quite a bit of changes to the hardtech platform. So it's stiffer now, so that's improved handling as well. But of course, the Baleno is never going to be a driver's car. I think the Swift still manages to be a more driver-focused car. But the Baleno, I think it's got a good balance of ride and handling. Yeah.
We will, of course, once we get our hands on the Baleno here at our HQ, we'll be able to put it through its paces completely and tell you exactly what it's like, ride, handling, that kind of thing. Now, one of the things is that low speed, high speed ride, is there a huge difference? Because there was a big difference before, right? Did you feel a big difference?
Yes, as compared to the previous generation Baleno, the new one, it rides significantly better. It's much better on the highways, and I think all the undulations and the bad stuff, it really smothers it well. So you get a little more confidence. And talking about handling, Maruti's also worked on the steering, so they've tuned it for better returnability.
Okay.
So you get a little heft as compared to before. It's not as light, so it gives you a little more confidence when you're at triple digit speeds.
Okay. All right. So, like we said, once we get our hands on the car at IHQ, we'll be able to tell you, we'll be able to give you a more in-depth analysis of ride handling, that kind of thing. Okay. So we will then move on to the final thing, which is competition check. So let's go one by one. First, let's look at initial impressions of Baleno versus the Hyundai i20. You've driven both, right?
Right. Now, the advantage with the i20 is the i20 won't be as spacious as the Baleno, But then I think the design, interiors, depending on the variant you choose, features now they're pretty much on par. I think the Baleno is pretty well loaded now. But like I've mentioned in my review, I think i20 has the i20 Turbo, but the Baleno is it's lost the booster jet engine. I think we put that this way. Yeah, it's lost the booster jet engine.
Okay.
So it's only the 1.2 liter dual jet engine that you have. So when it comes to all-out performance and features and style that you need, I think the i20 will still hold the upper hand because of the added engine options.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I think in the similar price range where you compare the i20 1.2 to the Baleno, I think the Baleno will trump the i20 with better fuel efficiency and features.
But the Baleno, the i20 has an advantage is that it gets a DCT and it has a diesel also, right?
That's correct. That's
something that Maruti Suzuki's been out of for a
That's
while.
correct. I think the i20 just has a lot of options. There's an i20 for almost every kind of buyer.
It's a wider
spectrum. Yeah. So I think that advantage will be there with the i20.
And just as like if someone were to ask you, Baleno versus i20 product to product, where would your attention go to first? I'm not asking you to be biased or anything, but just if you had to recommend in terms of value, you're saying they're on par in terms of features, right?
I think value-wise, better value, if you're just talking better value, price point and everything, the Baleno will hold the edge.
It's Maruti Suzuki.
Exactly. And even with all these changes, they managed to keep the price on similar levels as the previous car. That's a huge deal.
It's Maruti Suzuki, so they're always going to have that the name commands a value, right? It's been that case for a long time. Okay, Tata Altroz.
I think Altroz will struggle in a lot of places when you compare to the Baleno, be it the engine, be it the performance, be it the fuel efficiency. And the Maruti is just superior. The Baleno is just superior. I think the Altroz, where it will match the Baleno, is when it comes to style. The Altroz with its top end trim looks a lot better, and of course on the space front as well. It's going to be more or less just as spacious as the Baleno.
Gigantic.
Yes.
90 degrees.
That's right. But everywhere else, I think the Altroz will suffer. I think we'll compare it better once we have the DCT coming out with the Altroz.
Yeah, that's on underway, right?
Right.
And again, the Altroz, like the i20, has the option of a diesel, right? Which opens you up to a whole different set of buyers, right? Who want premium hatchback but also want a diesel.
Right.
There's no diesel automatic, it doesn't exist in this segment, but yeah.
Right.
Anything else? What about features, fit and finish?
I think, like I mentioned before, fit and finish is not exemplary. It's not fantastic, but it's something that you're.
Baleno versus Altroz.
Baleno versus Altroz, I think the Baleno still holds a slight upper hand when it comes to feel good, the feel good factor.
Is there anything specific that has caught your attention?
I think the whole design, certain the contours, how it flows, everything. I think it just feels more right in the Baleno as compared to the Altroz. The Altroz still has a few areas where it needs to improve, like the quality of the dash and the fit and finish. I think the Baleno does that better.
Okay, so that was the Baleno. Honda Jazz.
Right.
Sorry, that was the Tata Altroz.
Right.
What about the Honda Jazz? The Honda Jazz, well, I wouldn't say it's a product that's about a step behind. It's behind the competition. It's still a competent product, right?
I think it's a little long in the tooth now.
Yeah.
Jazz. It needs a significant upgrade.
Yeah.
And but it has its USPs. It's extremely spacious.
It's a large car, yeah.
It's a properly large hatchback. It's very practical. It's got multiple options. I wish it still had the magic seats, but now it doesn't.
Yeah.
But it's still a large car. It's got a very refined engine with that 1.2 liter IV Tech. So those are some of the advantages that the Jazz will still have. The Jazz also gets the diesel. So
the Jazz
also gets a diesel option.
No, it's discontinued.
That's right. So you only get the petrol
Yes,
in the
you get
Jazz
a petrol.
and the CVT option.
Yeah.
So you get the CVT option and the manual option.
Yeah.
So those are some of the USPs in the Jazz, but
It's about behind the competition, right?
but like I said, it's a little long
Long
in
in
the
the
tooth
tooth
and
and
needs a major
needs a
upgrade.
major upgrade, right?
That's right.
There's also going to be, of course, the Toyota Glanza, which we have seen in Spy Images. Now, the Glanza should be on par in terms of features as has been the case of the Glanza before. Now, Toyota's advantage over Maruti Suzuki is
Service
its
network.
service network and warranty, right? You think there'll be a bigger take for now that you've seen the Baleno, you know what to expect in the Glanza. You think the Glanza will take an upper hand, or it's Baleno through and through?
I don't think so. I think the Baleno will be a Maruti first always,
Yeah.
and then a Toyota. So I don't think it's going to be a huge difference.
And it'll more or less just carry on in the same vein,
That's
right?
true. I mean,
Yeah.
just a certain number of people would like to see the Baleno in a Glanza without the Toyota badge. I think those are the people who are going to get it. But apart from that, I think the Baleno will be a Maruti first always.
Okay. So just before we go into questions now, we'll just give you a price range for it, which is the Baleno was launched on the 23rd of February with prices in the range of rupees 6.35 lakh to rupees 9.49 lakh, which is the car that we have driven in the review, right? The top of the
That's
line
top of the
Alpha
line.
model.
That's right.
All prices are showroom. All details are available on both our websites, CarWale and CarTrade. Okay, let's move on to questions. Now, first one is that the expected G NCAP rating since it has 6 airbags.
Well, we're still awaiting the GM-CAP results. I hope
Yes.
Maruti does it.
But between 4 and 5 stars, I think should do it good, right?
I think 4 stars should be a fantastic result for Baleno.
We can literally put it this way: is that if the Baleno gets a high safety rating and if the Baleno is a person, you just be like, bro, I told you so, right?
Right, and plus this Baleno's heavier. It's about 50 kgs heavier. Like I said, they've added thicker sheet metal. They've made changes to the chassis, so it's heavier. So I think it is definitely a safer car than before.
Okay. So here's a question from YouTube from Ross. What about the mild hybrid? Has it been discontinued? Will it be back? It's there in this, no?
It is.
The integrated ISS, right?
I don't think they've. No. Start stop is there, but not the mild hybrid.
Mild hybrid,
No,
like, okay.
they haven't.
So
So it depends. Maybe if Maruti thinks that there is a market for it, they might get the mild hybrid back.
okay. So okay. Ross, thank you for your question. Ravi has asked about crash tests again. We just answered that. We think that it should get a good rating, and like we said, it's one of those things that if the Baleno is a person, we could just go like, yeah, I told you so. It is bound to happen, right? Ninad has asked us from YouTube, is it still as much fun to drive as the old one?
Oh yes, I mean if you found the earlier car fun to drive, it's just the same. In fact, it's a little better than before. It's more comfortable. It's stiffer, so the handling is still there. So if you like the earlier car, you like this one even better.
Thank you for your question, Ninad. Siddharth on YouTube has asked us, the Baleno looks so much better now inside out. Are features like a wireless charging pad and sunroof available as accessories? I guess we have answered that during the live, that once an accessory list is available from Maruti Suzuki, they've shown us exterior accessories. We've done a story also, it's there on our news feed. The interior accessories, once Maruti Suzuki releases information about them, we can guarantee you that we'll do a story and the information will be available. Thank you, Siddharth. Another question from YouTube from Lakshaya Kochar. Are fog lamps available for the Baleno Zeta variant as a part of official accessories at the showroom?
I think it should be. It should be.
Maruti Suzuki's accessory list is
It's
massive.
huge. It's huge.
Massive, right?
So we don't see a
it
reason why it shouldn't be. Yeah.
If nothing else, I think if you speak to the nearby dealer that you go to, one way or another, a fog lamp accessories should be available for the Baleno at an extra cost. Again, it varies from dealer to dealer. I think you should approach your dealer to find out. Here's a question from Instagram. I think we have answered this too. Are features like wireless charging pad and a sunroof expected in the future?
I think Maruti was waiting for an update. I think once they launch an update of the new Baleno, they might get in those features.
So I think fitting a wireless charging pad wouldn't be that much of a challenge. Sunroof is a big challenge. Sunroof is a structural change, right?
Yes.
Which means that if we were to see a sunroof, it'll be when they update this car, maybe a
True.
year and a half,
True.
2 years from now.
True.
Guys, any more questions? Yeah, it's coming.
What else did we discuss?
Anything else?
Yeah, so I think the primary question, I think for most people would be safety, and I think with all the changes made, it is, like we mentioned before, a safer car than before. But GN, that rating is something that's very important, the GN cap rating, and I just hope that we get a rating with the Baleno this.
I mean, as soon as it comes
Yeah.
out, that's something we'll be able to tell you straight away. Here's a question from YouTube. LB Creations has asked us, how spacious is this Baleno?
So space is similar to the older car, which is a good thing because the earlier car was also spacious, and the new Baleno is just as spacious as
The
its predecessor.
measurements haven't changed, right?
No,
It's
no.
same.
It's the same. It's the
wheelbase,
same.
that kind of thing. It was always ever meant to be Maruti Suzuki's premium hatchback.
Right.
For those of you that have lived in the 90s and early 2000s, the Baleno was available as a sedan in an estate, right?
Yes, I want one.
And that's a driving experience in itself, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, we weren't ready for such cars at that time. No,
That's
probably if they had brought it along 4-5 years later, you would
Maybe it was a little too early for its time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
have totally fixed time. Guys, any more questions? We're done.
Great.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We will be back with many more such Instagram lives. If you do have any questions that you weren't able to ask, you can ping us on our social media channels. This whole recording should be available across our social media channels, and you can leave your questions there. For all the details on this updated Maruti Suzuki Baleno, visit our websites CarWale and cartrade.com. The reviews are live on both websites.
So do make sure you check out the reviews, do like the video and share them, and check out, if you want to read about it, do check out the reviews on the CarTrade and the CarWale website.
Alright, thanks Abhishek. Thank you guys. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.
Take
Bye.
care.